Welcome to Dental Business RX. Practice success in 30 minutes or less.
Thank you for calling ABC Dental.
A couple of your friends or close colleagues tell you about a new patient referral system they're using in their practices, and they are very happy with it. With a minimal investment, the return is off the charts. So you decide to take the plunge and try it for yourself. You have a staff meeting, explain it to the team, and make it clear who's supposed to be doing what in order for this program to work. A couple of weeks go by, and you ask about how it's going. Where are the referrals, right? And early reports are not all that good. Patients aren't receptive. Everybody's doing everything they're supposed to, but nothing is happening. No referrals. So you decide that you'll give it a couple more weeks. Maybe it just needs time to gain traction. A few more weeks go by with the same disappointing result. You talk to your team, and after hearing what they have to say, decide that maybe this isn't a good fit for your practice, and you drop it. It didn't work. Or did it? When I see situations like this with clients, implementing what was an effective plan for others, and it doesn't work, whether it's a referral program or scheduling plan, etc., the one thing I find uniformly is that they can't tell me why it didn't work. Sure, there's tons of explanations. Maybe this wasn't a good fit for my practice. Patients in my area are different, etc. But they have no real answer as to a plausible, tangible reason it didn't gain traction. And not to overuse this word, but why can't they tell me this? Well, because they omitted a basic management step that can resolve 90% of the reasons why implementation fails. And that's what I want to talk about in this week's episode. My name is Jeff Blumberg, and I'm your host. And I think I'll start off by cutting right to the chase. What did these clients do wrong? Well, they never went and actually looked. I'm not talking about asking about. They never went and actually looked at what's going on. In other words, they never inspected the area. Inspection is a critical management tool. So I want to just throw this out to you. You may think this is, one of these no-brainers, no-does, but you'd be surprised at how many people mess this one up. What do I mean by inspection? I'll just give you a basic definition. To inspect something is to look at it carefully, critically, thoroughly. That's inspection. If I'm inspecting an area, I'm looking at everything in that area. I'm asking questions. I'm getting my questions answered. But I'm looking. I'm there. I'm looking at it visually. You know what inspection isn't? Let's say my collections are poor, and I go up and talk to my financial coordinator. Collections just aren't doing real well. And I walk up to them and I go, hey, collections aren't so good right now. Why do you think that they're down? And they'll give you any number of reasons. Because generally speaking, if someone's area is not going well, and this isn't an indictment of people or employees, this is probably something that you've just noticed, right? And maybe you've noticed it, maybe you haven't. I noticed something and I've noticed. If things are going well in somebody's area, they're very quick to claim credit for it because that's a good thing. That's going to gain them some validation, right? So if I'm the scheduler and production is off the charts and that's the statistic you've assigned to me, well, I'm going to point that out. I'm happy to talk to you about the schedule and scheduling because, I'm doing a great job. But if there's a 6-hour opening, maybe that's a bit excessive, a 3-hour opening tomorrow morning on the schedule, I'm not running up to you saying, oh, wow, look, I have a 3-hour opening on the schedule. I really screwed up. That's usually not what's happening. I might go, I'm a terrible person, whatever, which isn't what you want either. But it's, well, no, I think the patient told me they were going to come. They promised me. I confirmed them. In other words, that the responsibility is with them, not with me necessarily. You see, so people have a tendency to do that, right? Things going well, great. They're happy to be recognized for things going well. Things not going great, I don't know. Maybe it's a lot of other factors that cause things not to go well. So if I walk up to somebody and I'm talking to them about their area and it's not going well, and I ask them, why do you think it's not going well or what's happening? I'm not necessarily going to get accurate data as to why it's not going well. And again, like I said, this is not an indictment of the employee. This might be a perfectly good team member, but it doesn't necessarily give me valuable data. The only way it gives me valuable data is if I find out something they told me later turned out to not be true, that they were false reporting or lying, in which case, okay, that's data, the fact that they didn't tell me the truth. But, why do you think things aren't going well? Well, I think the economy's bad. I think patients don't like our new financial policy. I don't know. It just seems like March is always bad. People are having a hard time getting started for the new year. A lot of patients have been changing jobs lately. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on, right? You're going to hear all kinds of reasons advance, but it doesn't necessarily open the door to what's actually wrong with the area. The first thing I would do, I'd look at the person. Let's say I'm talking to them and they just look like to be a bit of a mess. They don't look very happy. They look like they're really not winning on their job. That's information I can think with, but I'm going to actually go inspect the area. Hey, how are you doing? Listen, I just want to take a look at a couple things in your area. So I noticed that, let's say it's a treatment coordinator. And talking to him, why are collections down? Well, no patients are getting approved for anything. Okay, cool. So what were the last 15 treatment plans we've presented? Let's get the list together. Okay, that's the list. Okay, great. So which one of these were not approved? Well, this one, this one, this one, this one. Can you show me the application? Can you show me the information? You see, I've heard cases like this where someone tells, the doctor or the office manager that no one's getting approved, and they actually go and look, and it was one patient who didn't get approved. You see, or none of the patients applied, or something along these lines. The only way I'm going to find out is if I actually look. So that let's say I look, they told me half the patients got disapproved, and I look and validly half the patients got disapproved. But let's say we have a policy that they're supposed to apply for this other form of financing then, right? And go, okay, good. So they didn't get approved for these. Did you apply for the other form of financing? Well, did you apply for the other form of financing? Can you show me the applications for that? Well, they didn't want, see, now I'm starting to find out what's actually going on and why the area or the statistic isn't doing well. In the example I started the episode off with, this referral program that didn't work, before I would toss the program, assuming it's a decent program, I would actually want to go visualize and prove, or at least see that people were doing what they were actually supposed to do. And I'll tell you how stupid this can get. Years and years back, when the company was located up in, we used to be located in Virginia, okay? We didn't have a client near the office, so one of my coworkers had found a dentist near the office, and I started seeing this doctor. And my coworker had given them, just as a goodwill to be nice, he'd given them what we call the Care Enough to Share program or Care to Share program. I'll put a copy of it on the episode webpage. It's basically a program. It's a referral program where you do little cards that you give to patients and they give to other patients. And it's a very specific way of working, okay? So we'd given this office a copy of the Care to Share program. So I go to this office, 6 months later. I'm a new patient. And I see the doctor. Doctor's nice enough. And as I'm leaving, the receptionist talks to me, and she's definitely, look, I've met a lot of dental team members. Some are just dynamite and off the charts. Some are great. This one was not one I would have, not one of the better dental employees I've ever seen. She was not really with it. She goes, oh, okay, good. Welcome to the practice, blah, blah. Thank you for coming. And hands me a mug. Here's a mug. And in the mug is 50 Care to Share cards. Okay. Now, you're only supposed to give it out a couple after you explain what the program is. She doesn't tell me what the cards are for. I know what they're for, but I don't say anything. She puts 50 Care to Share cards in a mug and hands me a mug and says, here's a mug. So if this fellow was wondering why his Care to Share program wasn't working, I could have told him in about 30 seconds because your reception is just stuffing them all in a mug and it looks like just a bunch of garbage in your mug that you're giving out. It's a nice mug. Use the mug. But the point being is if you go and actually visibly check on these things that are allegedly happening, that are being reported to you as having actually happened, you'll find in a lot of cases they're not actually happening, or some weird alteration of what you think is supposed to be happening is what's actually happening. Let's say all of a sudden your new patients drop. You see, and this is the funny thing. There's such a piece in this. There's such a piece in this, and I'll tell you why. Let's say you want to put order into your practice. You're a doctor, you're a manager, you're an executive sometime, you own the practice, you're the manager. You want to put order into your practice. You want order in the schedule. You want to do high-end procedures first thing in the morning. After lunch, you don't care if, the floodgates open and you got patients in every chair because you're doing a lot of deliveries and whatnot. That's how you want that practice to run. You want your daily production and collection goal made by lunch. Okay, that's your game plan. Putting the scheduling, structuring that system is actually very easy. That's not difficult at all. Now, can you do that all yourself? Yeah, but you're not going to be able to keep up with a high level of volume. You're going to have to get other people to do it. That's why you hire people, and that's why you have team members and employees. So let's say you want to implement this scheduling system, And then you come in and you see that the scheduler is scheduling large procedures for 5 p.m. Let's say the office closes at 6. They're scheduling them for 4:30 or 5, and the doctor is going to be working late. And you're wondering, why am I seeing patients this late for these large productive procedures? They're supposed to be in the morning. So you talk to the scheduler. Well, they had to work. They didn't want to come in. Patients really don't like this morning thing. I've seen that whole system not get implemented or fall apart so many times in my career because those are the type of things that the doctor is hearing. So the doctor wanted to put something in. It was given to the staff. The staff didn't execute. The staff gave the reason for their lack of execution to the doctor. The doctor accepted it, and then execution never happened. Okay? I can give you countless examples of this, whether it's something new patient related, collection related. We want to start getting prepays in the practice. So when you present the treatment plan to the patient, you can offer them a prepayment discount if they pay today. Then you find that, patients aren't paying. What's happening? Did we offer them a prepay? Well, I did that once and a patient was very insulted and blah, 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 blah. I think this is a really bad idea, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you stop doing it. So the problem with this is if I want to implement a sensible policy, not a stupid policy, not a policy that's just self-destructive, but a sensible policy, I'm going to put it in. I'm going to explain it. I'm going to make sure people understand it. I'm going to stay on top of people to make sure that they're doing it. And if it's not, quote unquote, working, now I'm going to go look and find out what is actually happening, because 9 times out of 10, if it's something sensible, it's not what I'm being told. Okay? Well, patients really don't like the prepay. Good. Then if I was the doctor, you know what I would do? The next patient I presented a treatment plan to, I would go straight into the finances. Look, so we have a couple different ways we can do this. Your treatment plan is $10,000. Wow, that's a lot of money. Totally understand. You're correct. It is a lot of money. It's a lot of treatment. We have a couple different ways you could pay. We'll ask them maybe, well, how would you want to take care of something like that? Well, could I put it on a credit card? As a matter of fact, if you pay today, you can get a 5% bookkeeping discount, prepayment discount. You pay today, you only pay $9,500 instead of $10,000, save $500. Oh, that sounds great. I think I'll go ahead and pay. And then they pay. Then you find out patients aren't receptive to it. You find out, well, maybe what you thought happened isn't what really happened. So I'm going to want to go look. I'm going to want to go inspect. I'm going to want to see what's going on, because again, what I ordered to have happen may not be what is actually happening. And I'll read you something. This is actually from one of our executive seminars on the MGE Power Program. I'll put a link to that on the episode webpage. But if you know anything about MGE, you know that we use the Hubbard management system developed by L. Ron Hubbard. It consists of millions of words on the subject of management and covers just about any aspect of management you could possibly conceive of, from financial planning, HR, resource management, strategic planning, and then go on. But Mr. Hubbard's system is quite expansive. Anyway, so this quote I'll read you from Mr. Hubbard is from one of our executive seminars, and it has to do with the subject of inspections, rather. I'll read you a couple quotes from this because you can kind of start to get a bit of an idea and just track with this. First thing he says is this: a senior executive who does not get around his or her divisions now and then and see what is going on can make a lot of mistakes. Okay? So now he goes further. This is a longer article, but there's a specific point I wanted to read to you, because this makes and he gets into the specifics here as far as how the inspections are done, but what an executive might see. And he's talking about specifically a book shipping area that's not shipping what it's supposed to ship. So he says this. He says, where a senior executive is baffled on occasion is the apparent unwillingness of a section to function. Now, this is so far down the command channel that info on it does not easily arrive back at the top. So now let's say, you have a larger dental practice and you have a doctor, an office manager, a person in charge of the back, a lead assistant, a lead hygienist. Those are all, those are command channels, right? It's going from the lead assistant would go to the person in charge of the production division, which would go to the overall back office manager, which would go to the office manager to the doctor, right? So the doctor or the office manager may not get information as readily as a person who's lower down the command channel, right? He says the thing to do where possible is personally inspect or get it inspected. One often finds the silliest things. Example, shipping statistic is really down, man, down. One orders and harangues, which means to address forcefully, give a hard time to, and argues trying to get books shipped. One gets the quantity of books looked into. It's okay. One gets shipping materials looked into. They're okay. A shipping clerk is on the organizing board. Organizing board is a method of organizing an organization. We teach it on the MGE Power Program. It was developed by Mr. Hubbard. But orders to the sales and marketing executive just never get books shipped. So finally, one gathers up the sales and marketing executive, the director of publications, the person in charge of the book area, and the books in charge, and goes down to book shipping. These are all the people on the command channel, above them organizationally. So I'll continue. It says, and goes down to book shipping. Lo, they have been building a machine that wraps books tightly when a rock is rolled off a bench. It has taken a month to build it and will require another to finish it. And one and all in that division are convinced this is the answer. The order, because remember, how did this start off? The book shipping statistic is really down. So he says, the order, break that machine up and start wrapping books by hand, and I want that backlog gone in 1 week. To the sales and marketing executive, of course, in front of everyone for his soul's sake, and publish the order in writing as soon as possible. So you see, you have to inspect. Because again, let's take a look at this. The example he's giving it's ridiculous, right? So they stop shipping books for a month to build a machine where a rock rolls off a bench. Meanwhile, they're just not shipping books anymore. So he says, this is the key. So you see, you have to inspect, because what seems logical and okay to juniors may be completely silly. Remember, that is why they are juniors and have seniors. And tell me you haven't seen this before, maybe as an office manager, maybe you're a salty office manager, you've been around for a while, you're used to running a really productive practice, and you go look at some of the systems or ideas. I know I've seen this as an executive that people do to solve problems, and you go, what in the world were they thinking? That makes absolutely no sense, right? But that's why you're the senior and they're the junior, okay? Doesn't make them bad. One day, maybe they will be the senior down the road and have juniors of their own. But there's a reason why you're the person in charge and you're the manager, because you're going to spot stuff like that, right? He goes on. Frankly, you can never guess at what holds some things up. You have to look. Often you have to solve it for them, but solve it with their agreement and on command channel if you want it done, okay? Now, this is a whole organizational theory thing. I'm not going to get into it now, but here's what I will say. Let's say I'm the manager and I have somebody who's in charge of the back office, and I have a lead assistant and I have dental assistants. It's a larger practice. I have a back office manager. I have somebody in charge of the production division. Let's say the back office manager manages the production division. They also manage, we have an internal lab, and maybe they also manage insurance and finance. Okay, so they've got their hands full. And I have somebody who manages the production division, which is scheduling assistants and providers. And I have a lead assistant, and I have assistants who work for them. So if I am the manager and I want to give an order to some of the dental assistants, I'm probably going to make sure that I include in that, because the command channel goes from me to the production, the back office manager, to the production division manager, to the lead assistant, right? That's the command channel. I'm going to make sure I give it to my direct junior, which is the back office manager. Or if I give it to that person, that dental assistant I want to give it to, or that lead assistant, I want to make sure everybody else is present. So I'm not creating a situation, and I'm making sure everybody's in agreement so we're all on the same page. Otherwise, I might walk in and talk to that lead assistant or one of the dental assistant, give them something to do. Then the production manager and the back office manager are going, what's going on? And the lead assistant are going, what's going on? Why are you doing it that way? Well, that's what Jeff, the manager, said, and now I have a bit of a conflict going on. Better bet is to have everybody included in that. So as he says here, but solve it with their agreement and on command channel if you want it done. Okay? He finishes with this. You can't always sit in an ivory tower and issue orders. You have to know the ground and the business. And, if you're not familiar with that term, an ivory tower would be like a secluded place, a retreat, or a state of mind, right? So you have to get out there, get your hands dirty, and look at what's going on. Even if you're the owner doctor, and actually go look at what is happening in your business before you buy that something isn't working. Especially if an area is not functioning well, you need to go down there and you need to look as to why is this thing not functioning? What is happening? Okay. This is executiving I don't know if that's an actual word, executiving. This is executiving 101. And I invite you to try it, and the beauty of this, like I was saying, there is a piece in this. If you don't get snookered, you don't get fooled. That system you wanted to implement for scheduling is not difficult to implement at that point, because you find out that it really wasn't done the way it was supposed to be done. And if it was done the way it was supposed to, it actually works, whatever system it is that you're trying to implement. Or maybe the idea you're trying to implement is not good, but then if you go and you look, you'll actually find out. So I invite you to try this, especially if you have an area of your practice that is not functioning. There's nothing wrong with talking to the people in the areas you're inspecting, but don't let that substitute for looking. You find the most amazing things when you actually open your eyes and look. I invite you to try it and let me know how it goes. Anyway, that's all I have for you this week. I do hope that it helps. If you want to find out more about MGE, you can find us online at mgeonline.com or call us at 800-640-1140. Folks, have a great week, and we'll see you at the next episode.